it's just like once you're done, you just go to the end,
That's fine.
or just go originally where you're seeing.
That's fine.
Damn. Can I rotate the cord to the other side?
Um, it would be best like when you get set up if you could just like step over it because like unless one of you is
Yeah.
going to be in the corner
Yeah, kinda
because
like
we'll
that.
have like probably like two people on one side and two people on the other side. But like I'm just over here. I don't want to yank it out of the wall. That's all.
And last question.
Sure.
Will we start presenting when you signal us on the camera, or is it just going to be you trying to slide and then cameras roll?
It'll go like I'll let you get up here and then I'll like tell you to start and then I'll time. But yeah, so hello everyone. We're already live. So hello everyone and welcome to the Green Program Iceland Capstone presentations. Over the past 6 days, our students have been learning all about sustainable energy innovation in Iceland, and have also been working on their capstone projects, which are entrepreneurial solutions to sustainable development problems. No idea is too big for the capstone projects, but not everything has to be feasible. But if it isn't feasible, we'd like for them to explain why. So each group will have 15 minutes, followed by 5 to 10 minutes of questions. And I'll be in the back, maintaining all of the technical equipment, and just like look back at me every once in a while, because when you're down to 5 minutes, I'll hold up 5, wiggle my fingers to draw your attention, and then I'll do the same for 3 minutes, and then 1 minute, and then when you're at time, I'll give you time, and don't have to cut yourself off, but please just wrap things up. But yeah, I'm super excited. You're gonna do great. I will queue up the first presentation. Okay, come on up.
Hello everyone, how are you doing today? Good morning, good morning. We are now Group 1, and we are here for the Green Program, times Reykjavik University, for the Háskólavin í Reykjavik Iceland Green Program project. My name is Cameron Wright. I'm a mechanical engineering senior.
My name is Barbara Fusel. I am a professional poker dealer and homeschool and public school mom of children currently now in the school system.
My name is Haley Coleman. I'm a senior biology major.
My name is Alex Morris. I'm a finance major, senior as well.
My name is Brumella Tata. I'm a junior mechanical engineering major at Prairie View A&M University.
And we will be presenting the Sustainability, Education, and Industry Expert Certification for US through K-5 students. Here's a little bit about us. My name, as I told you before, is Cameron Wright, mechanical engineering senior at Prairie View A&M University. My experience and background is in oil and gas completion tool systems, where I develop energy and sustainability in Carrollton, Texas.
My name is Barbara Fusel again. I am working on a degree in hospitality management at the University of South Florida.
My name is Haley Coleman again. I'm from Prairie View A&M University. I've done research experience with microbiology, but I also had previous research experience with renewable energy and sustainability in Port Arthur and Beaumont, Texas.
And Alex Morris, a lot of my experience is in the energy markets, trading, selling, make sure all the energy grid is good. So that's a little bit about me.
Brumella Tata, junior mechanical engineer major at Prairie View A&M University, and I am in charge of the distribution channels and the sustainability pipeline training.
Well, we'll go into the presentation agenda. First, we'll start off with stakeholder analysis. Who holds the keys in our project and who we're advocating for. Then the golden circle, the why, how, and what of our program. We'll then go into our business model and how the hard numbers actually are executed. And then more importantly, the virtual bridge, which is the VR portion of our pipeline. Then 5, K through 5, and why we're going to focus on those parameters and how they affect STEAM, which is science, technology, engineering, art, and math. Lastly, we'll go into our sustainability complex, targeting the market capture strategy and the ESG impact of our program. Down here you can see the ESG we actually include going 4 through 17. Similarly, we'll focus on education, affordability, industry and innovation, climate action, peace and justice, just to name a few. So who are the stakeholders? Well, the stakeholders in our project would be mainly the University of Reykjavik's Department of Engineering, designing the green core curriculum that we're participating in now and then pushing that forward to students in the future. Second, it would be industry experts, those industries being in Iceland, those being the mining industry, the coal, and how the geothermal and hydro plants actually enact and affect the entire industry portfolio of Iceland. Then we're going to move to the U.S. market where we have K through 5 teachers and those surrounding groups that contain those teachers and actually above them. So like that would be a state board or even a national board. The primary market factors delivering content in the classroom is what we're focusing on. Lastly, we'll be doing elementary students themselves and sustainability plan for a 2030 tackling pipeline. And as I said before, the Iceland School of Energy, more focused on what this program participates in. So what is our framework and what is the Golden Circle? Well, I'll start off again, why, how, and what. So why? What's the purpose of the project? It's to demystify the sustainability for the next generation through 100% renewable reality, moving beyond theory to proven practice, really giving this idea grounds and hope. How? Well, this project is taking a virtual immersion via Matterport, and many of you probably have used this before. Think of Matterport as anytime you go on viewing an apartment or a tour, it's what you click on to see the different rooms in that virtual apartment. So we're going to be using that technology with VR and the University of Reykjavik's portal technology to connect U.S. classrooms with actual Iceland facilities. So many of us went on hydropower plant tours and geothermal plant tours, and that was an amazing experience, but we want to give that to a younger generation and let them actually seek sustainability much earlier in their careers. What are we actually doing? We're going to be certifying teachers from the pipeline of K through 5 and advanced STEM careers, officially backed by the prestigious University of Reykjavik. The reason we chose this platform is because it's easily accessible and we can convert it to mostly all the US and the actual initiatives that are going forward to it. So every classroom that has the availability for this technique can employ it. So what are the numbers? What are we talking about here? Well, Reykjavik, or not even that, but all of Iceland, is about 99.9% based on a low carbon energy grid. That means about 1% of their total economy is coal. 31 to 0.8 is geothermal share, and then hydro share is 68.2. We learned a lot of this in the classroom, but that's really big for our idea and our market. This really brings us to a 46 megawatt per hour power capital of 2025. What does that mean? It means that Reykjavik's a living lab. It teaches you and gives you the birth of sustainable energy that we want to give to the next generation, and K through 5 students can normalize the sustainable living before middle school based on that example.
So how are we going to make the bridge from technology to education? Well, as we all know, kids would rather play video games than sit and listen to a lecture or listen to a teacher or read a book. Most kids would rather play a video game. So we plan on incorporating the power plant accessibility along with VR so they can see firsthand. Like he said earlier, a lot of us already use Matterport, we just haven't known it. It's when you have the circles on the ground in like a hotel lobby on a VR on your computer, the circle's on the ground, you move to the circle and then you can see a 360 view of where you are. So we're literally putting the teachers and the students in the location that we stood in ourselves, and even locations that maybe we didn't have access to at the time for safety reasons. We are going to incorporate Reykjavik University as their instructors. Those professional teachers will be the ones to actually teach the teachers, so the teachers can then teach the students, because every student has a different learning capability, and only the teachers of that classroom know that. So once we empower the teachers, they're able to filter it through to amend it to their curriculum for their grade level. And then of course live monitoring. We're not just going to let the teachers do like an online course and then let them by themselves. We're going to have access to, if they have questions for the engineers at the plant, they have access to ask them questions specifically. Next slide, please. And it's really about bridging theory Of course, the younger generation can't learn as quickly or as in-depth as the older generation can, even in grades K through 5. So ideally, grade 1 and 2 and kindergarten will learn about heat resources and water basics. And, like they could do like solar power cookers to understand a simple concept of how solar is actually used. And then 3rd and 4th grade, ideally, they'll get to do an interactive problem-solving tour around the plant where they kind of have to do a scavenger hunt to locate things where they read as they go, so they learn a bit more in depth. And then grade 5, they'll do a capstone project, which will allow them to earn a junior energy expert certification directly from Reykjavik University, which will help them in middle school when they go on to choose their middle school, if they want to do a STEM career or if they want to do an engineering career. This will help them with their application to get there. Next slide, please. And then key activities, of course, these are the 4 main key activities. The first is curriculum integration. We need to be able to match what the children are learning with the macroeconomics and the technology shifts. That is important because, as we know, our phones are only good for about 2 or 3 years, and then the technology dies and we need to get new update stuff. So we got to make sure we keep this information current and relevant to the situation. Also, district onboarding. It is important that the districts of the schools are aligned with what we want them to learn so that way they can teach the students. We got to make sure that the districts are fully supportive of this, and that will be done through multiple avenues, including funding, which we talked about later. And of course, site captures will make it really interesting and engaging for the students and for the teachers. They'll actually get to be there in person. And of course, certification flow. So for the pipeline back end of it all is the teachers will have a certificate for they can market themselves for other jobs if they wish to go to like a different kind of school or something. But the students will also earn a certificate. So not only does the certificate give them knowledge, it also gives them pride and a sense of cultural and global responsibility.
So these are our distribution channels. Our direct portal for software as a service is going to be direct login access to U.S. classrooms via our proprietary platform and Reykjavik University system. Our direct partnerships, enterprise business-to-business sales, targeting state-level science coordinators for pilot adoptions. And our certification market, we're going to be upselling the prestige of the Reykjavik University brand, value directly to the public STEM schools, and require recertification every 4 years for teachers. We're doing every 4 years for the recertification for teachers so they can stay up to date to our program. There's going to be updates, changes throughout time, stuff changes. So the 4 years is going to be able to keep teachers up to date with their certification so they can be able to educate their students the correct way. And this is our sustainability pipeline journey. So as you see, we have each level, elementary school, middle school, and high school. So K through 5 is really the most important, where we're really focused on the future. So as Barbie stated earlier, kids are not gonna really wanna learn about sustainability and all this stuff. They're not really gonna care. So that's the importance of virtual reality, is to bring the fun, per se, to the pipeline journey. So our focus for K through 5 is gonna be exploration and empathy. Our method is gonna be VR basics and storytelling, and we're gonna like implement little games in there. So it could be more engaging to the kids. And our credentials, like Barbie said earlier, they're gonna receive a Reykjavik University junior energy certificate. And then as they move on to middle school, whether these kids know it or not, they're still gonna be learning. So they're gonna be having fun and learning. The more you do it, the more it's just gonna sink into your head. So as they move on to middle school, it will be more and more easier, and they'll be familiar with this type of stuff. So in middle school, 6 through 8, our focus is gonna be starting to apply basic engineering concepts to these virtual reality games, or whatever as you can say. The method will be advanced VR scenarios, so we'll start getting more into the nitty-gritty of sustainability of hydropower plants and geothermal energy. And their credential will be advanced STEM track. And as these now young students move on to high school, they should already have a great background of sustainability. So our focus in high school will be industry readiness and data. Our method will be real-world analytics now. Now we're starting to really talk about, real-world situations. And their credentials will be pre-university Reykjavik credits or just pre-credits to college.
Okay, for the key resources and the cost structure, before I dive a little bit more into this, I do want to mention our costs are more streamlined, just meaning we have less costs or less types of costs, but with our costs, they are more variable. So for the RU faculty salaries, this is just going to cover the engineers that talk to us, the professors, and anyone else that dedicate their time towards our program. We expect that to be $12,000 per course. Then we're going to talk about the Matterport operations. All this is just going to be so we can capture the videos and put it into VR. For the base of it, it's going to be $7,000. So that's going to be our camera, just microphones, all the equipment that we need. But we know we're going to capture this at various different sites, so we know that is a valuable time to those people. So every time we come to their site, we're going to offer them $5,000 so we can just capture some photos. Infrastructure fees, this is just the RU education system and licensing, and we expect that to be an annual subscription. Business to business digital marketing, this is just outreach, and we expect that to be $4,000 to $8,000 a month. For ed tech trade shows, this is just exhibits, kind of tell you get more hands-on experience, and that's going to be $15,000 to $25,000 per event. So for our impact measures, we did an ESG framework, and I just want to emphasize that a lot of the presentations that we saw in the past was focusing on something more in the now, but as we were explaining earlier, we were trying to focus on the future. So for our environmental, we're going to have quantifiable improvements for the carbon literacy scores. For the social impact, is going to be more measuring statistical increase in secondary STEM enrollment. Then for economic, we're going to have a sustained subscription revenue growth for RU engineers and the brand overall.
So now we're going to speak on the target segments, which are going to be broken into 4 different groups. And this is just going to be based off of their readiness to adopt and also just their financial funding wise. The first segment will be U.S. public schools, K through 5. And we want to specifically go to the green states, so anything that is like California, New York, etc. They already have the sustainability built into their systems. It's just that they lacked the specialized curriculum in order to specialize it further.
The next steps will be scaling up phase 1 through analytics, phase 3 remote labs, and phase 3 through internships. So gathering data, pushing that data outside, and then giving students the ability to rack up that internship. I can go a little bit more into that slide, but if you have any more questions, that's our presentation. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you all for a lovely presentation. Could we go back to the numbers slide that you had about the money? So I may have missed it, but was there a slide about like how much you're charging like the teachers to get this training?
So yeah, we kind of did just blow past that, but she was going to go into a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
So the way we were going to support this program is certain states have certain departmental grants in this case, which will support some of these costs, or most of these costs for the first iteration to go around. Then once we get bigger into different areas, because not every place has a departmental funding for this type of stuff, we're going to charge a subscription fee.
Okay, so how much do you think, like, I just like ballpark napkin math, like how much it would cost, like, whoever has to pay for it, for like somebody to get this training?
I believe it'd be 3 ways. So if we do it software as a service, it could be a blanket cost. As you think of like a SolidWorks, if we're engineers, they'd be charged to the university or the organization for the teachers. If the individual teacher is getting that certification and schools allows it, I'd say the cost for one independent user would be from $200, $300, maybe $150 with discounts. We just want it to be a valuable certification, probably within a 6-month time frame, and then to immediately start teaching the students.
And usually with these type of models or subscription-based models, we do expect average between 20 or 30% return on our money. But for the first go round, first go through, we do expect the lower end of that range. But once we grow bigger and bigger, can you go to the
Down or up?
with the graph, the line going
That's him.
so yeah, so with this going up, we expect it to go towards that 30% end.
She did have a little bit more to say. Did you?
I would love to hear.
I was just gonna say that we could also have like energy companies that could basically invest into it using their ESG sponsors. I guess that we could go to like more underdeveloped areas, and they can just kind of like use that to help.
Cool.
So
I have a couple of questions. Everyone wants to note that your backgrounds are quite different from each other. You have a very like professionally like diverse group. I think that's like super cool. And teams like that are important for solutions which can positively impact the most people. And I wanted to ask like what benefits each of you all feel for your personal perspectives that your personal perspectives brought to the project, and what is a perspective from another group member they might not have considered when taking on a project like this, but felt that it was beneficial to the group. I know that's a long list.
That is
So I can repeat it if you'd like.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Could you repeat that?
Yes. Wanted to note on your like professional diversity, and wanted to ask you what are the benefits of like your personal perspectives like brought to the project, and also like something from team members that you wouldn't have thought about, but because of their different perspective like
Okay.
was beneficial to you.
All right, I'd like to answer that.
Yeah,
So.
I'd like multiple.
I mean, like,
Okay.
I'd like to start first.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
professionally speaking, I work in the hospitality industry, so I deal with a lot of different people. In regards to this project, I have a already graduated high school student from a public school, a currently in public school student in high school, and a homeschool elementary child who has developmentally special needs. So I feel like the earlier or the younger we teach them about sustainable living, the better the future as a global environment and home we will have. Yes, learning about the simple things like reduce, recycle, reuse, refuse is important, but so is limiting our energy uses on non-renewable resources, because eventually they will run out and we don't need to use stuff that we don't need. We can use solar, wind, water, heat from the earth. We could use those things that cost very minimal in terms of the triple bottom line, in terms of people, prosperity, and places. Like, we don't need to use up all of our resources. What is the actual cost of something that we're using? What is the actual cost that we're doing? Yes, we turn on a light, and it might only cost a half a penny to turn on the light. But what is the actual global cost of that? How much of the carbon footprint are we using for that light source? Where if we could reduce that even by half in the next 10 years, we can significantly improve life living on this earth as we know it.
So could you
So
how does it apply to like other group members' perspectives?
I think we should go from
Yeah,
Ramel.
We gotta have like another
And
person
Alex
answer
and
it,
then-
maybe, I think.
So if you can go back to the pipeline thing. So a personal benefit for me is just having the layout, being able to explain for each grade level how we're going to attack this problem. Like we said before, the kids are not really they're not gonna really care about this stuff at all. But having the virtual reality as a little connection, it can definitely help a lot with students to be more engaged and more learning about this type of stuff. Having Alex and Cameron here, they helped a lot with like the numbers and all that, because personally I wouldn't be able to do that. So having their perspectives and their ideals to the project helped a lot with the numbers.
And, well, I can go. I'll say definitely Barbara. She really gave the whole energy, the life system to this project, and she did kind of put us all together and put us on the same track. I wasn't really thinking of an idea like this, but she explained it, and I was like, okay, this is actually maybe not the most glamorous idea out of everyone, but this is actually, in my mind, more important because what's the point of having this if we don't have the people to actually engage with this item? So, but yeah, different perspectives. I'll say definitely the engineering perspective because I'm gonna be honest. Seeing them lectures, I'm like, yeah, the engineers got this, and then they came along, and what? They got this. So, so yeah, that's kind of my input.
Cool, awesome. I'm very satisfied. So I have a couple another comment and question. Great presentation and impactful. What other types of facilities do you think would be impactful outside of the energy field that could also focus on sustainability, like using this type of conduit?
I believe so. We had an idea when we came to this. It was called LEED certification. That's basically the rating of a building and how much energy efficiency it has. So not really based on the energy field, but just based on infrastructure in general. I believe if they took the VR Matterport concept and then viewed those and gave tours and rated it, and we applied the same things we did for these kids, it'd give the same feeling of, okay, this is what we want to strive for. Because our generation, we have a lot of pressure on us right now from US and other things going on. So I feel like giving hope to the next generation that they can create something better than what is now is really what the project symbolizes and the importance of it.
Yeah, to add on just a little bit to what Cam said, it doesn't have to be hydropower plants or geothermal energy. You know, it can just be anything like an ecosystem. You know, forests, deserts, or anything. We're just teaching kids about like the damage of pollution, the long-term damage it does to the earth. That type of stuff we think is really helpful for the future.
Car factory.
Oh yeah, all that's just important for Earth's health.
Like adding on to him, we could also do a VR tour of a recycling plant or a garden that uses compost, like old food matter, how it gets turned into compost and then turned into fertilizer and then turned into food for us to eat. Like the whole cycle of just that one part. Like there's many ways to convert this in.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely expandable.
Awesome. Great job. Okay, I'm just going to adjust this curtain because we get a little bit of sun is out, which is a good sign for later. But so the next group is. Oh, and there's another one.
Hey, what did you say?
I mean, I think I don't think it should.
That's you, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Just double checking. Awesome.
It doesn't show?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, if you need another one for speaker notes, no worries. You can also
Yes.
get them, send you their presentations.
What are you, oh gosh? And, oh gosh.
Okay. I guess I'll have to click both of them at the same time.
Or someone else can click it.
It's fine. Okay. Here we go. I don't see it. Yeah, there we go.
Is it increase the brightness?
Yeah, he's gonna raise the brightness of the lights because they were turned down a little bit. Yeah, that's much better. Thank you so much. Problem solved.
Big problem solved.
Okay, you can begin whenever you like.
Cool. Well, thank you guys for your presentation earlier. We're excited to share our capstone for the green program. This week we have looked into upgrading the wastewater treatment at Kaptagarðar. So we're going to give it a little introduction before we get into everything. I'll start. I'm Avery Urban. I am a senior at NC State University where I study electrical engineering, and I worked in both in the energy department with transmission and distribution, and I mainly work in AC substation design.
My name is Raymond Chen. I study mechanical engineering at the University of British Columbia and currently working in biomedical device manufacturing.
I'm Izan Al-Samara. I also attend North Carolina State University, and I major in environmental engineering, and my specialty is water resources, treatment, and stormwater management.
And I'm Nathan Steen, go to the University of South Florida where I do finance and I specialize in real estate and valuations.
Cool. So here's our agenda for today. We're going to kind of go into the background of what currently exists in Iceland, as well as our proposed solution, getting into more cost analysis and our benefits and challenges as well.
So going through the golden circle framework of why is there a problem, how are we going to address the problem, and what is our solution. Currently, 24% of municipal wastewater in Iceland is not treated, with the rest only going through like primary filtration and settlement, or primary treatment and filtering, which Avery will get into a little bit later. This results in untreated sewage water just being like dispersed and discharged into the sea. Additionally, we wanted to kind of take a look at addressing Iceland's problem with soil erosion, where 40% of Iceland is in desert-like conditions, and we want to improve upon the vegetation growth across the island. So why Klettagarður? Klettagarður is one of the 2 wastewater treatment plants in Reykjavik. It'll be an effective pilot site for like upgrading treatment from primary treatment to secondary treatment, because it's a treatment plant that receives industrial level waste. So having this higher level of pollution treatment would be good for kind of a baseline where other treatment plants can be upgraded to.
Yeah, so going into the how, we're going to stick with Klettagarður and look at that and improving the primary and secondary water treatment of it. And what this is going to do is going to get rid of some of the biomass that we are currently dumping into the ocean and try and utilize that and to redistribute it to areas where there are lacking nutrients, such as places where there's soil erosion and limited vegetation growth.
So for the what in the golden circle, we are proposing to upgrade the wastewater treatment plant. We want to transition from a primary treatment to a full secondary treatment, so that looks like upgrading their primary treatment as well with their clarifiers and making sure that the solids are being separated more effectively. This will look like adding or capturing more primary solids, reducing biological oxygen demand through biological treatment, and a process called anaerobic digestion, which produces biogas, methane, CH4 specifically. And then also managing these biosolids so that they can be converted into a soil enhancing material and then land applied.
Okay, so we talked a lot about primary and secondary treatment, so I want to make sure y'all know exactly what that really means. So a primary filter is when the wastewater goes through just a physical separation of water and solids. So imagine your wastewater is going basically through a cheesecloth. And so all the water continues to flow and just your physical debris is separated. So hopefully that gives you kind of a frame of reference for physical. And secondary treatment is a chemical treatment that gets rid of pathogens before it's distributed into the ocean. So here's a little flowchart, quite simple, hopefully you can get the gist. This is the current technology of how wastewater is transmitted through the city. So there's a centralized wastewater system, at least in Reykjavik. And it goes through a primary filter. Again, the physical debris is getting filtered out, and those settled solids are being transmitted into a landfill. And then all the rest of the water is just discharged right into the ocean.
Yeah, so a little bit about our proposed technology. You can kind of see here we have the different types of treatment, primary, secondary, tertiary. So with our addition of the secondary treatment, we would be adding an aeration tank where the solids are oxygenized, and then we would also be adding an anaerobic digester, which uses bacteria that basically eat away at the biological oxygen demand, the nutrients as well, and that will create the biogas as kind of like a byproduct. And so basically you can see that the sludge or the solids would be separated more effectively, and the nutrients would be lowered down, which helps with discharging, because one of the effects of discharging effluent that has a high percentage of nutrients or biological oxygen demand is eutrophication. So that includes algal blooms that are growing at a fast rate, and that will also lead to lower levels of oxygen. And so after the solids are separated, they are thickened, dewatered, so they can actually be land applied and then used as fertilizer.
So going in why Iceland doesn't already have this secondary treatment, which you might think they do, considering they're so, sustainable, would be first, the population is so spread out, but because Reykjavik is more of a central area, this is a place where it could be more easily utilized. Challenges to this is the climate, being cold, transporting water, and then challenging terrain would be the ability to dig into the ground and place pipes to transport from where they collect it to where they go through it. And then the legacy discharge practices is because this really hasn't been done before, so it's like there has to be the want to change from both social and political sides. And then monitoring this over the years has shown that this area is lower compared to other parts of the world, so they don't really look at it as much. And then they say that the ocean is big enough to where all their waste is just diluted. Looking at their current sewage output, firstly, this is the pollutants that they put in. This is in kilograms per day. Nitrogen is just over 200 kilograms per day. Phosphorus is around 30, and then arsenic is around 0.2. And then here's copper and zinc as well. Millions of sewage waste per day. Klethagargar is the place we're looking at, which produces 35 million gallons per day of waste, and liters is on the side as well. And then, but they produce 60.8 million per day. And then billions, and this is in per year, billions is 12, around 13 billion gallons of waste per year. And then for reference, 60.8 million gallons is about 92 Olympic-sized swimming pools. And you can go to the next slide. And then the billions of waste a year would be about 15% of the smallest glacier here in Iceland.
So in terms of industry impact, just because the current dilution of wastewater into the sea is working, it doesn't mean that it doesn't pose any pollution or long-term health risk. There is a measurable water quality risk with just dumping this wastewater into the ocean, and that also poses a potential threat to the fishing industry, which is very important in Iceland. Additionally, sheep farming or livestock tending is an important traditional practice in Iceland, and using fertilizer to increase the vegetated area within Iceland will be very important for growing the agriculture industry in Iceland as well. So approximately 15 to 20% of Iceland's total land area is used for agriculture, with about 17% of it being categorized as just common grazing land for sheep. So increasing this number would help increase sheep population and agricultural activity in Iceland.
Okay, here you can see the current discharge locations located around Reykjavik. There's roughly 8 on the north side there, and the water is distributed only about 200 meters away from the coast. So that's about 0.1 of a mile, so not too far away. So that obviously is going to impact the people that live local to Reykjavik and their water quality.
Looking at the social business model, key resources will be political pushes, but partners will be the government as well as the current utility company, Vator, as well as residents in the area. And then value proposition, we have our impact measures being restoration progress metrics in the areas of land restoration as the customer value, as well as clean oceans.
So a little bit about the cost breakdown. I will preface that, you know, these numbers are kind of like estimated, and I'm not really sure with just like the background of Iceland how much really it would cost for these specific things, but these are kind of just regular prices that you might see in the States or in other countries. So the total cost for these upgrades at the treatment plant would be about $400 to $600 million. In Icelandic kronos, that would be about 52 to 77 billion. Just breaking down that cost a little bit, that would go towards the primary treatment upgrades like the clarifiers, the secondary treatment where you're getting that aeration tanks, the reactors, the tank for the anaerobic digesters, and then as well as the secondary clarifiers. And then moving into the sludge process, you would need thickeners and dewaterers. So yeah, and then along with that, just the infrastructure in general, and the engineering, the contingency would also play a big factor in that.
So in terms of value proposition, how do we get buy-in from the government to like support these heavy costs for infrastructure? By converting wastewater into fertilizer, we can help reverse the desertification of Iceland's like vegetated area and replace the need to import expensive fertilizers from outside of Iceland. And this will help rebuild the soil organic matter within deserted regions, helping to reduce erosion and improve ecological resilience to wind erosion. In terms of local impact, this would be helping to lower the pollutant risk to food chains and ecosystems while protecting local ecosystem health in local communities. This would also help support agricultural activity and the fishing industry as well.
Sources of funding. Firstly, this is a big public source. So government funding through the national infrastructure budget would be how we would want that implemented. And then EU grants. The EU is pushing for all of this, and by 2035 they want all places in the EU specifically to have a secondary treatment. So you would want to hit that. And then climate and sustainability, green bonds are a way, especially in America at least, they do it where they return a steady return, about a 5%, but it is using private money for that.
So here we have our sustainability complex. Obviously our project has kind of multiple sides to it. So if we're thinking about more of just the wastewater treatment, that's going to be, you know, more the Reykjavik metropolitan area, so it's more of a region here in Iceland. But obviously, the fertilizer as our, you know, our actual product that will be used all over Iceland in those areas that need restoration. And here you can see kind of just the sustainable development goals that have been highlighted here. We have clean water and sanitation, industry innovation, sustainable cities, life below water and on land. Again, just addressing soil erosion, upcycling wastewater, and minimizing waste. So obviously we created a great idea here, but there are some challenges and things to consider before going forward in this project. Obviously, you saw in our cost breakdown, it's quite expensive, so figuring out how we're going to fund that. Obviously, Nathan also mentioned kind of the cold climates and how that impacts digging into the infrastructure, as well as just the chemical processes that occur need a certain temperature to happen, so learning how to kind of mitigate that in regards to just the normal ambient temperature that will be occurring in Iceland. Another thing to consider is the right word there, just what energy demands will increase when you're adding just this new infrastructure, and the last one being monitoring of biosolid composition.
Yeah, so a little bit about the future steps of where this could lead to. So as I said before, this anaerobic respiration process creates a byproduct, which is methane. From the area that I'm from, Raleigh, North Carolina, they actually use this exact same process to basically use methane to power a local bus or public bus transportation all over Raleigh. I know that in Iceland is very sustainable, but there is still a small percentage of vehicles that use diesel and let out CO2 emissions. So using this, you could tackle away that small percentage and have a more sustainable public transportation, which would decrease the need for everyone to have their individual cars and to be able to get around the capital.
In conclusion, we went over why this is a problem, our proposed solution, some of the associated costs, and what we need for future steps for implementation. Thank you for listening. We're now open to any questions.
And remember, your toilet is not a trash can.
Thank you all. I think that this is like a really good example of you all listening this week, and like, you know, because we talk about all these like wonderful things that Iceland's doing in terms of sustainable development, but there are still a lot of things that are not sustainable about Iceland, and this is a huge one. And like your note on like using the methane for the buses here, it's not like a small percentage of cars here that are still, you know, it's most. Yeah, there are still a lot of electric cars, especially compared to the States, but especially like heavy transport is a lot of, you know, fossil fuel intensive vehicles. So we're still trying to figure out how to do that like energy transition. And yeah, I think that this is like a really cool example of like looking around and seeing like, yes, you're doing great, but you can do better. I'm just like super proud of that. One note, do you think it's feasible to do this in Iceland, and why? Why or why not?
I personally do think it's feasible. It would require, you know, a lot of support, funding. You know, I think that the people would also have to want this. Like, you would have to, you know, kind of change something that's been going on for a while. I was a little bit surprised when I came here, and I realized that, you know, the effluent was just going directly in the ocean. I didn't know that was like a common thing still. But yeah, I do think it's feasible. I know that, like, especially for my hometown, like, it's crazy that you could just use waste to power a vehicle. And I know that, like, these processes, while they require a lot of money, they are efficient. And I think that besides the big challenge of you know, the climate and having to have certain temperatures for these processes, Iceland has a great source of heating, which is geothermal water, and that can be used and utilized to, you know, offset that climate, the harsh climate.
And with the feasibility, it's more of like a two-step process, because first you have to get the policy side of things to put into motion, as well as your social awareness. And then once that's done, that's when you can really get into the investing in the upfront cost of going into the secondary treatment.
Just curious, did you all look into what Icelanders think about like their public opinion on like what they think about, you know, pumping their waste into the ocean?
Doesn't look like they care too much. They do it. One thing with it, the amount of gallons per day that they produce, it's about 3 times what a city in like the United States would do. So like they are so much more waste than us, on sewage at least.
There's also some existing research that like people are already looking to at the University of Reykjavik, like on potential solutions to like the specific technical problems that are associated with secondary treatment in Iceland. So it is a problem in people's minds here.
Yeah, that's exactly. We've got people very interested in this. Couple more questions. Would you later consider your expanding this project to remove other inorganic pollutants from wastewater? For example, there's some like EU regulations coming out soon about like plastic pollutions in the water that Iceland, you know, definitely isn't accounted for. Or would you like to keep your scope limited to organic pollutants so that, you know, for the fertilizer side of things?
I think that we would definitely want to expand on that. I know with Dr. G, you mentioned a little bit about bioaccumulation in organisms. I know that also one of the biggest things going on environment right now is a chemical called PFAS, which comes from non-stick cookware, Teflon, and it is very cancerous, and it is all over the United States infrastructure, water, everything. And as well as the criteria pollutants that would be in the fertilizer as well. So you would need to monitor these biosolids that you're applying to land. You need to definitely monitor like the metals that are in them. But yeah, in terms of like microplastics and chemicals like PFAS, I think that we would want to. There's ways to get rid of these that the EPA has been researching in the U.S. that involves using powder activated carbon or granulated activated carbon, which uses adsorption for the particles, which just stick to it and actually end up cleaning these really, really hard chemicals to remove. So yes.
Cool. Sounds like you've already thought about those second steps. Sorry, I
No,
didn't
you're
cut
good.
you off. Go ahead.
I also think it's important to note, like, based on that sticker price you saw of however 400 million, you know, first off, engineers want to design things that can be expanded, so I think hopefully we're able to kind of, I haven't gone to the, you know, nitty-gritty CAD drawings of how this has been made, but I have hopes that there is ways that it can be expanded based on what it is now. And I also think since the ticket price is so high, we would want to be able to make something that's comprehensive, not just for our current solutions, but if this EU policy is going to be implemented in the next 5 to 10 years, we want to get that going now instead of having to, it would just be a headache to one dig all that stuff back up again, but also the time, money, labor, costs, all of that would just be, you know, it could be avoided if we kind of did it all in one full swoop now. So I think that would be something to consider. Getting probably more people into this solution would probably be best, honestly, because there seems to be a lot of things that can happen all at once. That would be the best solution going forward.
I have one more question. I'll send over. Great presentation and glad to see the diversity of projects presented today. I'm interested, not me, but the one who said it. I'm interested in knowing how each of you and your background supports this project and what has inspired you about it. You'll give everybody a chance to speak. Yep.
I can start. I am an environmental engineering student, so you know a lot of the stuff that I learned in school involves wastewater and water treatment. So that's how I know a lot about these processes. I think I kind of like brought to the group, you know, just like the technical side of things and how these processes actually work. Personally.
As a finance major, I do more than that. I've looked into, one thing I've done is looking into the green financing of stuff. I've taken a bunch of, there was a time where I was also like doing STEM stuff. So taking all these environmental classes made me interested in this, and touring all this stuff even now, kind of seeing the money side to what they were trying to solve was pretty cool.
I come from a mechanical engineering background, so different set of like rules and regulations, but it was interesting kind of seeing like a different side of things in terms of environmental kind of stuff. I had more of a background in like public transit or like FDA approvals and stuff, so that was quite interesting to like see a different spin on things.
I also come from engineering background, more electrical side, but I think studying engineering teaches you essentially how to get inputs and how to get outputs, and I think that was advantageous to this project, and having an engineering background helped me figure out what I needed to know to develop this project. But I think it was also cool to only spend a week on this project and get pretty technical and see just how much you can learn in a short amount of time just by diving into it. So, yeah.
Great job, y'all.
Oh, sorry.
Saving the lawn. You need me cooking? Or? Alright, bet.
Is it good?
60
everyone. This week, my group and I researched cost-effective housing, and we're going to use a 3D printing solution. So we're excited to share our solutions and dive into it. So first, we will go over who we are, and then we will next go to our social business model, and then our sustainability complex, and the impact that we want to make. And lastly, we will go over the SDG and how our product fits into different development goals.
Hello everyone, my name is Brian Perez. I'm a mechanical engineer major with a minor in supply chain management at Prairie View A&M University.
Hello everyone, my name is Jasmine Barrientos. I am from Prairie View A&M University, and my major is agriculture with a minor in pre-veterinary medicine.
I am Matthew Caldwell. I am a mechanical engineering major at Prairie View, and I'm a senior.
My name is Malia Morgan. I am a junior chemistry major with a biomedical concentration.
So part one is our social business model.
Alright, so we will now talk about our golden circle, which is our why, how, and what. It is the basis as to why we wanted to talk about and focus on this on this issue. Our why is rising house costs have made it difficult for young adults to afford starter homes. Through this project, we will be able to provide durable and affordable homes through 3D printing. As for our how, we will build sustainable, energy-efficient homes with eco-friendly material, launch an affordable model community in Cypress, Texas, and offer hands-on internships for engineering and architect students. Lastly, for our what, we will use large-scale 3D concrete printers for home building, partners for land and funding, start with a case study in Cypress, Texas, and use cost-efficient, standardized designs.
So let's deep dive into some statistics. So I received some of these statistics from the U.S. Department of Commerce, and it basically shows that the median household income in America is around $62,000, and certain states obviously have higher wages because of their affordability. But when we also look at this chart from Goldman Sachs, we can see that home affordability is at an all-time low right here. And you go to the next slide where it shows some more. So, and this graph shows that the median house price that was sold for was $410,000, and I don't know about y'all, but I cannot afford that at the moment. Probably, So it's a really big issue in America, and we can see that annual salaries, they have gone up a little bit, but they don't outpace inflation. So it's a very big problem, and we really wanted to solve it. So looking at our social business model, we can see that our key resources are university networks, which include students, also just getting really good locations. So Cypress, Texas is where we want to do our pilot. Contracts, and also the companies that actually make the 3D printer that prints the homes using a concrete type material. We're also going to use media outlets, so we want to have a lot of good publicity. So we want to be on the local Houston news channel. We want to have billboards, a lot of social media presence around this, because it's a very cool and exciting idea. Some of the key activities that we're going to do are start in very desirable communities. So everyone is not from America, but Cypress, Texas is near our university. It's a very growing community, and it's also close to the freeway, so you can get to the main city of Houston fairly quickly. And we just thought it would be a great place to own a house. We're also partnering with some nonprofits and local governments to secure some land and investments. And we just really want to provide affordable housing. And we're really targeting young professionals and middle and working class people. Our revenue, so it will come from the home sales as well as government housing grants. And once we actually do really well in Cypress, we want to roll this out to other parts of the United States, maybe go to Dallas, maybe go to other states like Florida, Arizona, and really start to expand from there. Our value proposition is to basically just introduce a new way to create affordable living for the average person in America. So yeah.
Okay, going into the key resources a little bit. So the university network, we wanted to partner with universities to provide internship opportunities to architecture and engineering students to contribute to design, construction, and project management, building a skill and cost-effective workforce. So next thing we want to go to is the suitable location. So we wanted to identify.
Could you stand like next to the microphone? Could you please switch places? Just because you talk a little quieter. Thanks. Sorry about that. I appreciate it.
We wanted to identify and secure land in strategic areas like Cypress, Texas, that support developmental goals, accessibility, and community impact. Contracts, we wanted to establish agreements with contractors, suppliers, investors, and local government to support project execution and long-term growth. And then lastly, machinery and materials. So we wanted to acquire and maintain 3D printing equipment and sustainable building materials to ensure efficient and high-quality construction. So a little bit more about the key activities. So we wanted to start building in desirable communities, identify, purchase, and prepare undervalued land in Cypress, Texas, design standardized homes optimized for efficient 3D printing with integrated plumbing, electrical, HVAC systems, roofing, MEP installation, and interior finishes, partner with nonprofits, local governments, contractors, and investors to secure land, funding, and permits. So partner with the experienced contractors in the Houston area and collaborate with local government agencies to ensure efficient construction, regulatory compliance, and smooth project execution. Work with nonprofit organizations like Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and real estate investors to secure funding, expand impact, and support scalable housing development. And then lastly, collaborate with universities to create internship programs. So partner with universities to offer engineering and architecture internships that provide hands-on experience in CAD design, construction technology, and project management to just develop a skilled talent pipeline while helping reduce overall labor costs. So the partners, we wanted technology providers and material suppliers. Obviously, like we wanted to partner with 3D printing companies like Icon and Cobot because those machines are very expensive to just buy outright. And then obviously concrete mix providers, suppliers, and building material vendors. Universities and colleges, we thought it'd be good to give like students the opportunity to get internships and experience. Media outlets, obviously we wanted to get our housing promoted because there are some housing like the Zuri Gardens in Houston, Texas that I feel like not very many people know about. So we wanted to make sure to get ours out there. And then construction and trade partners, contracts for roofing, electrical, plumbing, and HVAC support areas not covered by like 3D printing. Sorry, support areas that are not covered by 3D printing. So key stakeholders, our main stakeholder obviously is home buyers. So first-time buyers, working families, and young professionals directly benefit from affordable move-in ready homes. And the investors and donors, organizations like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, they provide funding and they expect social impact rather than high returns. And then obviously the internal team, engineers, architects, project managers, and construction crews, interns gaining hands-on experience. And the surplus and revenue, so we plan to follow an intentional margin compression business model. The goal is not to maximize the profit per home, but instead maximize the impact, scalability, and long-term sustainability. Our profitability comes from efficiency and scale rather than margin by standardizing designs, building homes in bulk, and reducing construction time with 3D printing. So the lower percent cost, enough to still generate like a modest surplus. We are receiving support through philanthropic organizations such as the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and we are able to treat early capital expenditures through that, and then create self-sustaining cycle, ensuring business can continue operating, maintaining equipment, and grow our impact. So just a few numbers and facts. The price of a 3D printing machine is approximately $300,000. That's with like the partnership with through the companies. So our first quarter profit should be around $1 million, and then we can start everybody off with like a $90,000 to $100,000 salary. So the rest of the profits will be going directly back into the business. And then we have a target build cost of $200,000 per house. So we're gonna sell the houses for $220,000. It's significantly lower than traditional developers in the United States, but it's like around the 10% margin for sustainable housing.
Now, why does 3D printing work? These are some 4 metrics that we looked into, and I wanted to be a comparison to where it's traditional versus 3D printed. And there is a comparable price on cost per square foot, and also the advantage is the build time. So rather than 4 to 6 months build time, it would be 3 to 4 weeks. And the labor, as well, the labor costs or the labor workers, we cut it down from 20 to 30 workers to 5 to 10 workers. And also one of the biggest things that I've seen in traditional house building is material waste, where there's high material waste, and 3D printing there's not as much. Now for the cost structure and surplus, this right here, this is the chart that demonstrates the 3D printed homes, how much it costs, and like pretty much just to break it down from that $200,000 home that we said mentioned. And some of the biggest high prices are the land costs and the MEP system. Pretty much the MEP system is HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and then I believe there's one more thing that I'm missing, but those 3 right there, and also interior finishes. Now with our segments, we have 2 types. We have our beneficiaries, and which are the young professionals who are looking into buying housing or houses in the current market right now. And so, as mentioned before, it's going to be in Cypress. And so what they're looking for is that they want it to be convenient, well-designed houses, and that's near resources and amenities, so that they can approach this home buying a little bit more better. And it touches the low, middle, and working class as well. And some of our customers, as mentioned before, is Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and also some local government grants that they have going on, such as the Harris County Housing Finance Corporation, Affordable Housing Program, and also as well as the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs. Now, our value proposition is centered on effective way to introduce a new way to build homes at an affordable price. So this is going to be 3D printing. And as mentioned before, traditional construction is slow and expensive, and so we're trying to provide a faster, more cost-effective alternative, and also as well as provide equal opportunity to home ownership, and also as well as increase the home ownership around different social classes. And the type of interventions we have is service, where we provide that affordable housing, and so this is going to be more of a budget-friendly, and it's going to be helpful for the first-time home buyers and also for young professionals in different types of communities. And the product is going to be more of a durable and cost-efficient with this 3D printing technique. And so it's going to help maximize the value for the residents that are owning these homes. And some of the channels that we're going to be trying to push forward for the audience that we're trying to get is the local news, media outlets, and also billboards. And then some risk and mitigations we have is the regulatory approval. Some things we've seen was local building codes, and the mitigations to that was the partners with licensed engineers, and then also as well as the weather, because rain and extreme heat can delay printing and affect concrete curing. And then some structural concerns as well, because concerns about the strength, durability, and long-term performances, and also the supply chain of materials, where it's limited availability of the specialized concrete mixtures or printing equipment.
So these are examples of our 3D homes. The main compound is concrete, but they use other filaments inside of it to not only make it stronger, but make it last longer. And the homes, they kind of vary in the architecture style, but we plan to do about just a couple different layouts so that it streamlines it more. And this is just an example of what it would look like maybe inside of a neighborhood and the actual machine. There, okay. And yeah.
Okay, now we will go into our sustainability complex. We're planning to start with the city, so we're going to begin implementing the housing project in Cypress, and then slowly scale the model to additional cities and states to broaden the impact. Ultimately, we want to have it at a national level, so in the U.S. We want to expand the proven model across the country, establish affordable, sustainable housing communities in multiple cities and states to increase home ownership opportunities on a national scale. Lastly, we will go into our SDG. Luckily, we were able to fit into 4 sustainable development goals. Our first one is sustainable cities and communities. This is, building eco-friendly, energy-efficient homes, and they're also affordable. Our second is industry, innovative, and infrastructure, using advanced 3D printing and modern construction. Really fits into that. Decent work and economic growth. We're generating jobs, providing internships to students, and supporting local environmental growth. Lastly, we have reduced inequalities. We offer affordable housing to expand access and promote social and economic equity. All right, that's it from us.
Thank you. Super cool idea, super cool presentation. We have a couple of questions. Wait, my phone. So one is, so you're doing it in Texas near the coast. I've heard, in the past couple of years, there's been some pretty extreme like winter weather events. And I know that a lot of like infrastructure in Texas have like really been hurt by those like new, more extreme winters because of climate change. But also just not just the winters, like heat waves and such. And have you all considered the impacts of like this climate change, extreme weather events on these types of houses? Is this a limitation to where these houses can be built?
So we think that they can basically be built, like for Texas for sure. Other parts of the United States, I believe they will be able to as well. In Texas, the biggest thing with us was our pipes and our utilities. So the materials that we use are not like retrofit for really cold weather because no one really predicts it. So as long as we're able to have the right contractors to install the right pipes and utilities, and we have the right HVAC units, I think it'll still be able to withstand the natural events. Hurricanes are a little different because flooding is very complicated to solve, but hopefully with the land that we purchase and build on, we're not doing it in a very prone area that's prone to flooding. So.
And then also with the winter storms that you talk about, one thing these homes don't have is diesel generators. So if we can include that, that's something that would be nice to put into these homes because there's no backup source. We pretty much rely on the power grid. And so if we do have a secondary option, whether it be solar or also with the diesel generators, because they're more straightforward, but that's what I would say about that.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. I have a couple more questions. So one thing, the primary material is concrete, correct?
Yes.
In the scope of your research, did you look into the CO2 emissions associated with concrete? And is it different for this type of concrete? Because there's usually like really, really high emissions associated with concrete structures. Was that something that was covered within the scope of your research?
No, I would say that we didn't really have enough time to research about the emissions. This is a business plan that won't be mass adopted, so we're not looking to, have, the whole entirety of the United States be covered with like these houses, but we wanted to provide like a small solution to a really big problem. And we're hoping that with us like providing a solution that other companies, may either want to start other 3D printing companies or even just find a way to reduce the overall like prices of homes, because if contractors are seeing people flock to our business and customers are like, oh, we want to buy with, this group of individuals up here, then they might lower their prices a little bit to kind of combat, the price. So we're hoping that we basically do like a market correction in a sense, and influence other people to just do the right thing rather than have a very capitalistic mindset and only think about building wells for themselves or whatever it might be.
I think that's like a super big problem, and you can always divert some funding into more like sustainable concrete as well. So that's awesome. I have another question. Thank you for your project and for addressing this issue. because in Iceland this is also a big problem, like affordable housing as well. And also in Iceland we do build with a lot of concrete because there's not a lot of trees, so like this is very applicable here as well. And do you believe that 3D printed homes will be like the future of home building? And what do you believe is the biggest barrier to holding this back?
That's a great question. I think it can be. Like even like this hotel is like partly built with concrete and it's very nice. But I think one of the biggest things is companies finding like affordable land. So I remember I was telling you yesterday, it was a company that tried this in Chicago, but Chicago is one of the most expensive cities in America. And when they did try to do it, like this plot of land they had was really small. And after a lot of other situations and like they had some investor problems, the project kind of just dissolved. So money is a really big issue, but I mean there are a lot of other things. Not everyone wants a concrete house. Some people do want like a normal traditional like wood house, or maybe they want like a whatever architecture they want. So there are some compromises, but I think it can be the future. I think mass adoption, it'll take many years, decades for that to be like the norm though, for sure.
And to add on to that a little bit, the Zuri homes that are in Houston already, they're kind of hybrid. So they'll do the first floor of the home concrete, but the second floor there's like traditional build. So maybe parts of homes they'll start doing 3D printing, but not the complete home build.
I've worked in concrete before, and it's something I would love to delegate to a machine. It's back-breaking work.
Yeah.
I think it's super cool that y'all are doing like a project on concrete. And a Midgard used to be a concrete factory, so
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I remember she mentioned
Yeah.
Barbara mentioned.
Very cool. Was there another comment before?
Oh
cut
yeah,
you
I
off?
just
I'm
wanted to
sorry.
add on to what Malia said. I do think that maybe 3D printing, it's like, it's still kind of relatively a new thing. So I think that in the future, it's going to be more of an integration between 3D printing and traditional building. I also think it's more efficient that way, with how you were saying that working with concrete is really backbreaking, and it's it's a very laboring job. So I think that in the future, it's definitely going to integrate, and it's going to make building homes a lot easier, and maybe even better infrastructure in the end.
I also did have a comment that in talking about the reducing, about the emissions from concrete, by reducing the waste material, which this process looks like it does reduce the waste material, it does, or at least we think that it results in less emissions from the concrete as well. So just your project is less bad with concrete emissions than traditional concrete is. So yeah, awesome. Does anybody else have any questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
Like, will you have like an application, considering that you are having like a target audience? Like, you have to meet the standards of like being a young professional, or like an income max or something?
So as it relates to that, when you're trying to get like loans from the bank, they have their set of criteria. Like you might have to have a certain credit score, and if you're a first-time home buyer, you can use like the FHA loan. But for us, we do want to cap it at a certain age, because if someone is 60 years old, like obviously they would have more capital than like a 24-year-old, and I just think it's pretty unfair. So we're trying to like combat that issue. We would have a set of stipulations and an application process, but we think that like when we do this, that they would be kind of bought up fairly quickly, because they're hundreds of thousands of dollars lower than a traditional house. And this is not a nonprofit business, but one of the things that we're doing, they are very humanitarian type goals. Like we're getting interns from students, like colleges involved, and we're just trying to do the best we can and like make a good impact. In this ideal world, we're like friends with Bill Gates, and he gave us a lot of money. So we're able to do this without like taking like a big personal hit. We're still getting paid like pretty good wages. So yeah.
Cool. Did you have a question?
I was just saying, how would y'all, in the future, how would you stop, I guess, your company from becoming more money hungry? because real estate is more, I say, like economic supply and demand based rather than material based. So how would you curb that?
I would say maybe the experience of, like, since we're all from Purview, like with the housing crisis that we have there, like, we understand how difficult it is to find homes, especially when you're still like trying to build your career, and especially now with all the inflation going on. So with having that correlation and understanding that how owning a home is really nice, you don't want to be renting your whole life. So having that in mind, I think that it's gonna do a lot of work preventing us from upscaling our prices, and obviously maybe at some point we'll have to, but for the most part we'll keep it at a minimum and affordable price so everybody has the opportunity to be a homeowner.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you. Okay, last group. It's the PowerPoint's pulled up in another window, so I can just swap it over for Tom. Should be just forefinger. Awesome. Cool. Present slideshow. Yeah. Awesome.
Okay, Nick.
Little something.
Nick.
Y'all gonna get in front of me?
Y'all gotta get out there.
Yeah.
They gotta be able to see that.
Yeah.
What's so much?
We good. We're doing y'all ready, fellas.
Jordan, could you step just over a little bit, just so I can see everyone? And then whenever y'all are speaking on the other side, just like, step forward, a little closer for the middle, but just because we got. Yeah, cool, awesome. Okay, all right, go.
Rise and shine, everyone. How y'all doing today? Good. I need a little more energy. How y'all doing today? Good. Okay, I'm Jordan Alexander Gidra. I'm one of the informative representatives for the Group 4. Today we'll be focusing on 2 target areas. The first one rhymes with polar. Who can guess it?
Solar.
Okay, and the second one rhymes with warm. Who can guess it?
Farm.
There we go. So
Yeah.
I want everyone to turn to the person next to you, and I want you to say neighbor.
Neighbor.
We going to the farm.
We're going to the farm.
Yes, ma'am. So today we'll be talking about our solar power smart irrigation. We'll be talking about solar power smart irrigation for small scale farmers. Our agenda, you know what I'm saying? I just want you to just know where we're going with this, you know what I'm saying? So we're going to be talking about 1, the introduction and problem, 2, the solution and system, 3, business and funding, which is probably the favorite part, impact and context, strategy and vision, and then a closing Q&A for the beautiful crowd. Let's meet the team. I'll start with myself. I am Jordan Gidry, a mass communication major at the illustrious Prairie View A&M University.
My name is Tyler Hawkins. I am an electrical engineer at Prairie View A&M University with experience in the oil and gas field and power distribution with electric fracking.
My name is Tyson Howard. I'm a senior electrical engineering student at Prairie View A&M University. Background, got a big aerospace background with NASA and Boeing.
Hello everyone, my name is Nicholas Hall, a senior agricultural business scholar with a background in a couple different areas, but I guess today I'll focus on the agricultural and biological engineering department.
My name is Nicholas Rogers. I'm a senior electrical engineering major. My background is in transmission engineering, dealing with substation design and real-time reliability.
Okay, so before we get into the solution, I want to talk just a little bit about why this matters. So agriculture uses about 40% of California's water, which is a huge amount, especially in places like Central Valley, where water is already limited. A lot of small farmers use drip irrigation, which is good, but the issue is how it's managed. Most of the time, it's still based on manual checks or fixed schedules, but crops don't need the same amount of water every day. So without real-time data, farmers can end up overwatering or underwatering their crops. And this wastes water, it costs money, and can even hurt the crop's quality. So really the problem isn't just the irrigation, it's the lack of smart decision making, and that's exactly what we're trying to fix. So who are we actually trying to build this for? So first, we're trying to build this for small scale farmers in Central Valley. These are people running real operations, but they may not have access access to expensive or the high-end technology. We're also focused on farmers who have limited access to advanced irrigation systems, so affordability and simplicity is very key here. And beyond that, this also applies to drought-affected communities where water isn't just important, it's very critical. So overall, our goal is just to make smart irrigation something that's not just powerful, but also accessible to people who need it most. Now let me show you how the system actually works. So first, we measure the soil with soil moisture that constantly monitors what's going on in real time. That is now processed data, which is a controller that takes that information, whether irrigation needs to happen, and then that goes to the actuate, which the automation side of things, where it'll, instead of having the farmer manually turn it on or off, the system does it automatically based on the conditions. And then finally, everything is powered by solar panels, which makes this system energy efficient and reliable for long-term use in the field.
All right, so I want to talk about our hardware design, right? So our hardware design is broken down to three pieces, right? So the first piece is broken down to the solar panels, where we get that renewable energy, and then we'll power our device, right? So our device will have sensors such as soil moisturizer, temperature moisturizer, and also humidity moisturizer. And then for it to communicate, it'll be communicated through our LoRa gateway receiver. So what LoRa stands for, right? LoRa stands for long range. So with that, the farmers will be able to collect data from different parts of the farm. And in this device, our system will be able to cover 10,000 acres of land. Now I want to talk about our software design, right? So from that gateway, right, that LoRa gateway, we will be able to collect that data, and it will be able to transmit to a dashboard where our farmers will be able to look at that data and then make decisions based on the information.
All right, so this slide is going to break down our funding, like how we're getting our funding. So we are getting the majority of our funding from the USDA REAP grant. This stands for the Rural Energy for America program. And the amount of money that we can get ranges from $2,500 to $500,000. The focus is going to be for renewable energy and efficiency, and the eligibility is going to be for rural small businesses and agriculture producers. So what this is going to cover is solar panel installation, efficient irrigation systems, farm energy upgrades, and energy audits.
All right, so I want to talk about business model, right? So to actually build, the cost of building our system, right, costs $300. But we're gonna sell our initial hardware for $5,000, and then we will sell our software platform too into 3 different packages or plans, right? So our first plan is our starter plan, which we charge $99 per month, and then our growth plan we will charge $299 per month, and then our last plan will be the enterprise plan, which is basically a custom pricing depending on different types of the bigger companies that's out there. And then as far as with our revenue, based off our selling our hardware design and also our software, our first year we projected to hit over $800,000 in our first year revenue. Next, yeah.
So I know this business plan sounds like an amazing idea, but I want to highlight that it also hits on sustainable development goals as well. So the 3 that our project hits on would be clean water and sanitation, zero hunger, it increases the crop yield to support small-scale farmer efficiency, and the last but definitely not least is a responsible consumption and production goal. So starting with the Central Valley, right, this region produces about 25% of the U.S. food supply and has around 9 million acres of irrigated land. So it's an extremely productive place, but also heavily dependent upon water. So even with drip irrigation, most small-scale farmers still use fixed schedules without real-time data, and so that's where we come in. That leads to overwatering or underwatering, which wastes water and affects crop performance. So the real issue isn't just water availability, it's how efficiently that water is being used. And that's the gap that our solution addresses.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And then bounce it back to our growth strategy, right? So our first phase, we will focus on, targeting 10, basically selling 10 to 20 systems to our smaller farms. And in our phase 2, we will start actually scaling it and have more sell 100 plus systems. And then for our phase 3, we want to target the enterprise, the big companies that's out there, 300 plus systems.
Okay, look, so our approach, right? Our approach is very simple. We work with farmers and not against them. First, we focus on partnership. We're improving what they already do, not replacing it. And so that's a huge thing in the agriculture department. I mean, farmers are sometimes stuck in their old ways, a little bit hesitant to new ideas and new innovations because typically what they do already works. Second, we focus on profitability, crop health, and water efficiency because if it doesn't benefit the farmer, then it won't be adopted. And third, we use local validation, actually showing them the results on site to build trust. So overall, we help farmers become more efficient without adding complexity. So in terms of impact, we reduce water usage by about 35% by eliminating unnecessary irrigation. We also see around a 12% increase in yield because crops are getting the right amount of water at that right time. And the system is fully solar powered, as we mentioned earlier, so there are no electricity costs. So this solution improves efficiency, productivity, and cost at the same time.
All right, so this is going to be our business model overview. So some of our key resources are going to be solar moisture sensors, solar panels, automation controllers, and our installation service. Along with that, who we're going to be targeting as our customers is going to be small-scale farmers, and then also agriculture cooperatives and the community irrigation districts. With that, the value that we're going to bring is going to be a low-cost upgrade path, water efficiency, and going to increase their yields, and it's going to also make it way more sustainable. And then our revenue streams are going to be the system kits, professional installation, and also our maintenance contracts.
So our vision for the sustainable agriculture is just to have a smart and sustainable farming practices that improves both efficiency and accessibility for small-scale farmers, and really focus on the architecture that they already have and finding ways that we can implement technology, even AI, to help their crops grow at a much significant level, and also help with the long-term food production and water conservation that can coexist through intelligent automation. Thank you for your time and
Open questions. Yep.
Oh, it's just 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
We got 5 minutes worth of questions. Come on, talk to us.
Well, yeah. Well, then, thank you so much for your presentation. We just had a couple of questions. First of all, you know, like my in-laws are from the Central Valley. I was just curious, like, why y'all chose this region. Like, are any of y'all from the Central Valley, or
No.
just like?
Yeah. So we realized that a lot of America's food is produced from this area in the U.S. And we just wanted to target a area that would make a big change to our to the country. So this was one of the top areas that we honed our focus on to see if we can make the biggest impact.
And additionally, to add upon that, we also researched that this area deals with a lot of small-scale farmers, and so we want to help those people rather than the huge corporations.
Cool. More questions. Would you also be able to use this for homes?
Yeah.
In California, there was a campaign about 10 years ago asking us to turn your lawn California gold. In other words, let your grass die. Like, because, you know, water is very expensive in California, but there's also some folks that are just, you know, they'll just pay it and just like waste the water and overwater. So we got just questions about, like, you know, have you looked into if this could be a tool to prevent like overwatering and allowing like individuals to make gardens affordable solutions?
Yeah. So going back to when I was talking about the software, right? So when you you know, put out our device, and you get that data back. So that on the dashboard is going to be able to tell you, okay, are you overwatering it, or if it's less on water, or do you need to change the moisturizer in your soil, stuff like that. So our software design and the software that's built into the device that you get the information back is going to alert you and tell you all the information.
And yes, it can be used at home, and it can be used in any type of agriculture. But we wanted to create something strictly for small scale farmers, but it can also be used at home. It can be used in any terrain, really. But our primary target was just for small scale farmers. But if you have a garden at home and you want to keep a real time data coming in and the real time conditions of your garden, this device works for that as well because it covers up to 10,000 acres.
Cool. Awesome. Another, so would you start by trying to specify with like one type of crop? For example, almonds are like the most water intensive crop in California. But yeah, California is a top producer in almonds. So, you know, they're using a ton of water for these almonds, and they don't have a lot of water. Or would you try to go more general solution and make it more like modifiable for any type of produce?
So we will go more general. So the good thing about our software is that it keeps track of data. So if any type of farmer or anyone who's gardening would like to look at the trend of their actual soil, then they can look at the real-time data over time and make the best decision for their crops. So based off of one of our packages, you'll be able to see the data of you'll be able to see the data of your crops for I think it goes back a year of time. So whenever that, let's say February, you get this device in February. When the next February comes around, you'll see how your crops did last February, what worked well and what didn't. So we don't want to just hone in on one crop because now we're we're limiting ourselves. So we want this to be flexible for whoever wants to purchase this for their specific crop.
Because there might be people out there that might be interested in corn, want to grow corn. So we have the device that helps with that, or other different plants that's out there, not just only almonds.
And it definitely applies to watermelon because who in here loves watermelons? Raise your hand. Okay, so who in here has had a bad watermelon? You know what I'm saying? So the reason why that problem arises is because, like my brother said previously, there's either too much water or not enough water. So what this system would do, it will make sure that every crop has the equal amount of water. Based on our research, we've found out that 40 to 50% of the crops of the watermelon don't taste that well because of the irrigation problem. So having our node will take that problem to increasing like the taste and the proper what is it called when you produce? Yeah, the proper production of watermelon. So it will increase, you know, the bad taste of watermelon, take that away, and it'll make the watermelons taste a lot better. So I know it makes sure that the irrigation across all the plants is 100% better than it will be without it.
I know with like Dr. Magnus the other day when he came and talked about, you know, because he's trying to work with farmers and help them farm better, like all over Iceland. And there's a ton of, you know, pushback because a lot of farmers are like, you know, my family's been doing this for generations. Like, who are you, you know, to come tell me how to do my job? So like, pretend, you know, I'm a skeptical California farmer, and then like a bunch of guys from Texas show up and tell me that, you know, I should farm it. So like, if you had like 30 seconds to a minute to try and like sell me on your idea, how do you think you'd do it?
Well, first of all, I'll answer this question. I'd hone in on the data in the area, right? So see what are the normal problems about farms in the Central Valley area. And so I have that as my background, but I also come to you and ask, hey, what's going on with your farm? Okay, fine, I'm using a lot of water, money here, perfect. And you know, first of all, I wouldn't dress like this. Let me say that. I'll come in jeans, my boots, maybe a polo, just so that you know that I'm not high sedity, I'm not higher than you. I know what you do already works. I just want to make it more efficient. You know, this is a win-win situation here. And so those are the things that I would hone in on. And then based off of that, I also know that farmers are hesitant and time is money, right? So maybe I don't get you off of the first approach, right? But 2 weeks later, I'll check back in. Hey, I mean, do you want to try it? You know, I have this data backing it. Why not? And so that's the approach that we take.
And we willing to give samples as well, like show you product demos of exactly how the device works. And then once you get that data, now you can look at it and be like, okay, now I can get faster results. I can get better data coming back from our device as well.
And
so we open up to do product demos in front of you as well.
And one last thing, this device works without connecting to a network. You don't need internet connection for this to work. So there are nodes in the field that communicate with each other, and the lower gateway will connect to a gateway, and then that goes to a dashboard. All of that is done through Bluetooth connection. So this can be in the most rural area where no internet is accessible. So that's another selling point we would use.
And really, just imagine you just, as a farmer, you waking up on your bed, you can just look at your phone and look at the data from your phone. Instead of going all the way out there in the farm and actually looking and observing. You can just look at it, just pull your phone out and look at the data and make decisions right there. Make it very easy for you. Instead of you investing thousands and millions of dollars in drones or satellites or even cellular towers as well.
You know, it sounds like, I mean, at Free Thamer, they were talking about, you know, the people who run the place, they can be on vacation and open up their phone and check, like, okay, what are the conditions in my greenhouse right now?
Yes, exactly.
And that just adds to so much peace of mind because, I mean, I know a lot of y'all working, some of you are in ag fields and stuff. Farmers don't get a lot of vacation. And I think that just that quality of life thing where it's like, hey, if, you know, you were to go on vacation and, you know, you're anxious about your farm because that's your livelihood, you can check up on it. Pretty easily. I think this is an awesome project. I think this is a very strong idea. It feels like something that you could start right away.
Yes.
And if you were to keep moving forward with it, what do you think you would do tomorrow to start building, launch it?
So what we would do would first finish the prototype, create demos with real-time environments, showing real-time data, and also sample it out to farmers so they can actually see this type of technology. I think that the results from sampling it out will speak for itself, because it's very simple, but at the same time it holds a lot of value. I think we would just sample it out because the cost to make it isn't. It's not too much, so we can build it up front and, you know, collect back ends on the back. So that's not really. I don't think it would be too hard to launch.
Yeah, it only takes $300 to build a device and the software too.
Yeah.
So
I really appreciate that y'all are saying, you know, you want to like build it and figure it out.
Yes.
And make sure, you know, because no matter what, even if it seems like a simple thing, there's going to be unforeseen problems.
Of course.
And I appreciate that, you know, you want to make sure it works before you start charging people.
Of course.
And even to add on that too, because you know a lot of apps, a lot of companies give you 30-day, 60-day subscriptions. We can give you a 60-day subscription where you can be able to free subscription where you can be able to use it, get the data, and you can go back to the last month and compare it from time to time.
Like results will speak for itself.
Because we care about fulfilling the farmer's needs. Because if the farmer's needs is fulfilled, business transaction gonna happen anyway.
And to piggyback off what they said, you know, great doors swing on little hinges, and it's our responsibility to make sure that you're getting a bang for your buck. We're not just here for the money. We're here for you to make your own profit. We're here to make sure that you understand what you're getting yourself into. This is really helping you create quality crops just from the soil. It all starts from the root, then to the fruit.
Yeah, poetry! I'm going to be stealing a couple of those. Yeah, awesome project, y'all. I'm super impressed with everybody. Congratulations. We can give a round of
Yeah, I got you. I'll send it.
So, congratulations everyone on finishing your capstone presentations. All of your ideas, all of your projects, all your presentations were awesome. I'm like very impressed. And I just want you to like bear in mind that, you know, I know a lot of y'all are from Prairie View, but a lot of you also just didn't know each other this time last week. During this week, you know, we've had a pretty packed itinerary. You know, we've been getting up early, getting home late, and haven't had a whole lot of time to work on this. And it just goes to show that, you know, in a very short period of time, because when you really break down the timing, y'all did these projects in basically a couple hours. And, you know, broken up over a couple days, but y'all really did a really good job in such a short period of time, and I'm super proud of you. And also, you know, we want to encourage you to like remember these frameworks, like the golden circle, is super important. I want you all to be like thinking about why you're doing something before you do it, and like all in your career for the rest of your life. Just like, why am I here? Is this important to me? Another thing, you know, that business model canvas, it sounds like a lot of you could go on and be like very successful entrepreneurs. And I think that, especially that business model canvas, is like a super helpful tool for like looking at like, hey, have I figured out all those details for how to get things done? And I think, you know, you are all very well equipped to do that. So yeah, super proud of you all. Thank you for the audience for tuning in and giving such good feedback. And I think Dr. G had a couple things he wanted to say as well.
Well, thank you. Yes, Dr. G, God Love Fundraising, G for God Love. I work at Prairie View A&M University as a senior international officer. Academic background is in geology, and that's what I did for many years before this. I just want to thank you all for accepting me as a guest on this program. I have, you know, been here for just a couple of days, but I'm totally impressed with what I've seen. And I really like the energy that you all brought to this. And the way you are focused on this program, this project, something tells me that this is not just a class project. I think some of you are going to do something along these lines at some point in real life. And I'm very grateful for that. And even if you don't, what you've produced will provide the idea for somebody else to do it. For the Prairie View folks, I just want to let you in on something. For the past 3 years, I've been working on a program. Just I want to tell you now because I would like to invite you as partners on this. I have been offering a workshop to Prairie View faculty on how to view their courses through the lens of UN SDGs, UN Sustainable Development Goals. The idea there being that if you want to internationalize your course, one way to do that is to look at your course material and say, how is this benefiting the world? And the UN SDGs are a great way to do that. That program has worked well, but what I want to do now is move it, broaden it a little bit, include students. International programs is in academic affairs, but I want to partner with student affairs. I will need your help. And the idea here is to look at what we're already doing on campus. Excuse me. All the student volunteer projects they do around, you know, that are all controlled by student affairs. A lot of those projects are related to the UN SDGs. If you are helping to tutor somebody around, you know, the middle school, high school, there's an SDG that answers to that. If you are helping to feed the hungry, it's an SDG that is related to that. I want us to view all of those projects through the lens of UN SDGs. And there's a particular way I would like for us to do that. So when we get back to campus, I would like for us to have another meeting. I'll buy you pizza. And we can, or even more. And I'd like for us to figure out how to implement this campus-wide. I wanted you to, as I've said this, put on your thinking hats from what you've done here and start thinking about how we could do that. I have some other thoughts, so we'll share that then. That's that. The second thing I want to say is for all of you, sometimes you learn a lot of things and you may miss one or two things. In talking to one or two people, I know that you've picked up quite a bit, but there's one thing I just want to be sure that you all don't lose sight of. So this place, there's a lot of energy sustainability talk. I mean, this is what most of your folks here have been centered on. I want you to always keep in mind, when you say energy sustainability, what does that really mean? In fact, let me put it in the form of a question. It'll take just a couple of minutes. What is the primary source of energy on this island nation? I'd like somebody to tell me. What are the primary sources? Say primary. Somebody? Geothermal. Okay. Geothermal, hydrothermal. When you say geothermal, that is a path. That's an intermediary, but what is the primary source of geothermal energy? Water, yes, is still an intermediary, but where is that energy coming from?
The earth. Volcanoes.
Okay, from volcanoes, that's right. But where is it coming from? Through the volcanoes.
Or the earth, man.
Okay, the core of the earth. How did it get to the core of the earth?
God.
Okay.
That's one answer.
I know that my name is Godlove, but don't give me credit. Okay, then, so I looked at the presentation that you had from the faculty member at the local university. The two things the faculty member said. One, the faculty said radioactive energy, radioactive decay. And then primordial energy. So when the earth was formed, the energy that was trapped in the core, part of that heat, plus the constant decay of radioactive elements. And there's no way that energy is ever going to be depleted. The half-lives of some of these elements are just huge, so it's always going to be there. And that's why you can see the energy is sustainable, it's always going to be there. So radioactive decay of elements, you know, the earth, as you know, is a sphere. Once the elements decay and energy is produced, the heat moves in all directions. But since it's a sphere, the one that goes to the center quickly concentrates there, and then suddenly the next thing is that you have a geothermal gradient where the core is hotter and then it's less hot as you go towards the exterior. So you have energy flowing outwards continuously as the elements decay. So just keep that in mind. I just want to help you tie the loop on that. That is one. Those are two sources, primordial and radioactive. This is the third one. So you have, you talked about waterfalls and getting energy from there. Now, the primary source of that energy, I keep saying water, but the primary source of that energy is the sun. Okay? It is the sun. Because I don't know if you remember from high school, you learned about the water cycle. So the sun hits the earth, water evaporates from the oceans, lakes, and rivers, and evapotranspiration from plants. That moisture is moved around, condenses, falls back as either rain or water. The water gets into the ground and flows back out through springs and forms rivers that you dam and then get the energy out. But the primary source of that energy is the sun that lifted that water from the ocean and put it on the top of the hill. You remember that? Or snow, as in the case here. So always trace the source of that energy. Once you trace it to these three sources, you know that you have a sustainable system. That energy is never going to go anywhere. So again, it's one of those things that just from talking to you, I thought I'd put it out there so you can help you close the loop on this. I am so happy with you, and I'm so impressed by you, Dan.
Thank you.
I'm so impressed by your energy and all the things you've done in this course. Wish I have half of your energy, and Andrew as well. And that's all I really have to say. I appreciate it. Thank you all.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, again, thank you all so very much. We want to get y'all outside. It's not supposed to be, doesn't look terrible right now. It's, yeah, as Alessandro says, it's great. But we'll be going into the woods, and it'll be, when I get y'all's attention real quick, it'll be like more or less sheltered. So it'll at least be less bad than it is not in the woods. But we'll have a good time either way. But if y'all could just get bundled up and meet us back down here like 4:30, that gives you about 20 minutes.
Can you give us
That'd
a
be
little
great.
context on what to wear again?
Dress warm.
Okay.
Yeah, like it won't be like a
Yeah,
long
waterproof
walk.
or, like-
Water. It's always good to have waterproof in Iceland. I don't know exactly what it's gonna look like, but it's Iceland. So.
You said we're like making garlic bread or something?
Yes, we will be. But yeah, just dress for hiking clothes and stuff, and we'll tell you about it later. All right, thank you so much.
Oh, wait, excuse me.
Oh yeah, we'll do one. Yeah, I just gotta shut down the stream.
You'd like for us to have a group picture before. Yes.